Jenny didn't look back when she walked away. Not because it didn't hurt, but because staying would have broken her. Jenny chose distance over comfort, silence over promises. In the same university halls, she and Austin learned to exist without touching the truth they both felt. Classes passed, finals came, they graduated with honors, strangers with unfinished history. Then reality hit. Her scholarship ended, bills didn't wait, applications were rejected, doors stayed closed, until one interview didn't. She walked in unrecognized. She walked out remembered. What Jenny didn't know was that the job offer crossed a desk where power never forgets faces. Miss Tessa saw her name, said only one thing: hire her and watch her closely. While Austin was away, the pieces quietly moved into place. And that's when Jenny stepped into the world she once walked away from. The elevator doors slid open on the third floor. Jenny stepped inside, her mind already on the report she needed to finish before lunch. The space was empty, quiet. She pressed the button for the 12th floor and exhaled. Finally, a moment to breathe. The doors began to close. A hand shot through the gap. Jenny's heart jumped. The doors retracted. Austin stepped in. Her breath stalled in her chest. He never used this elevator. Never. Everyone knew that. The executive lift was on the opposite side of the building, reserved, untouchable. But here he was, standing 3 feet away from her, his presence filling the small space like a storm cloud. He didn't look at her. He pressed the button for the 15th floor and stepped back. The doors sealed them in. Silence dropped like a curtain. Jenny kept her eyes forward, her posture straight, her breathing controlled. But she could feel him. The heat, the tension, the strange weight of proximity. Austin's jaw tightened. His gaze stayed locked on the digital display above the door. Floor 4, floor 5, floor 6. Jenny didn't move. She didn't speak. She didn't dare. The elevator hummed softly as it climbed. The air between them felt thick, charged with something neither of them acknowledged. She wanted to say something. Anything, but what? Good morning? How are you? It all felt wrong. Too casual. Too forced. So she said nothing. The elevator jolted to a stop on the 12th floor. The doors opened. Jenny stepped out first, her movements smooth, practiced. Austin followed a beat later. They walked out together into the open floor plan. And that's when it happened. Oh, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I really need to ask, where exactly are you watching us from right now? Drop your country and the time in the comments. I genuinely want to know who's here following Jenny's story. And if you're new, please subscribe, because what happens next is going to change everything. You won't want to miss it. Also, if you're just joining us, check the pinned comment or the description below for the link to part 1 so you can enjoy the full story from the beginning. All right, let's get back. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Keyboards went silent. Heads turned in perfect synchronization, like a choreographed dance. Eyes widened. Mouths hung open just slightly. Jenny felt the shift immediately, a ripple of shock spreading across the room like a stone dropped into still water. She didn't slow down. She didn't look back. She walked straight to her desk, set down her bag, and opened her laptop. Her face was calm. Her hands were steady. But inside, her pulse was hammering. Austin continued toward his office without a glance at anyone. His expression was unreadable, his stride unhurried. The door clicked shut behind him. For a moment, no one moved. Then the whispers started. Low at first, careful, then louder. Could you see that? He never uses that elevator. Why was he in there with her? Who is she again? Jenny kept her eyes on her screen. She opened the file she'd been working on and forced herself to focus, but the weight of the stairs pressed down on her like hands. She could feel them even when she didn't look up. The curiosity, the suspicion, the judgment. Cassandra was the first to approach. She didn't knock. She didn't smile. She just stopped at the edge of Jenny's desk and tilted her head slightly. We need to talk. Jenny looked up. About what? Not here. Cassandra's voice was low, controlled. Break room, now. Jenny hesitated, then stood. She followed Cassandra through the maze of desks, aware of every eye tracking her movement. The break room was empty, the fluorescent lights buzzing softly overhead. Cassandra closed the door and turned to face her. You were in the elevator with him. Jenny frowned. Yes, so? It doesn't matter. People saw. It was just an elevator. Cassandra let out a sharp breath. Nothing is just anything when it involves Austin. You need to understand that. Jenny crossed her arms. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't say you did. Cassandra's tone softened, just barely. But it doesn't matter. People are talking, and when people talk, the wrong ears start listening. Whose ears? Cassandra didn't answer. She just held Jenny's gaze for a long moment, then shook her head. Be careful, that's all I'm saying. Jenny returned to her desk, her mind spinning. She tried to focus on her work, but the whispers around her had grown sharper. She could hear fragments of conversations, pieces of speculation stitched together into something ugly. Maybe she's dating him. Don't be ridiculous. He doesn't date employees. Then why was he in that elevator? Maybe she planned it. Jenny's fingers tightened on her mouse. She wanted to stand up and scream at them, to tell them they were wrong, that it meant nothing. But she knew better. Silence was safer. Silence always was. By the end of the day, the atmosphere had shifted completely. People who used to greet her in the hallway now avoided eye contact. Colleagues who once asked for her input in meetings now kept their distance. Jenny felt it all, the invisible wall rising around her, brick by brick. She packed her things and left the building without a word. That night, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. Jenny stared at the screen for a moment before opening the message. Miss Tessa would like to see you. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Mr. Nicholas will pick you up. Her stomach dropped. Miss Tessa, Austin's mother, the woman whose name alone could silence a boardroom. Jenny read the message 3 more times, her chest tightening with each pass. She wanted to ignore it, to pretend she hadn't seen it, but she knew that wasn't an option. She typed a single word. Okay. The next morning, Mr. Nicholas was waiting outside her apartment at 9:45 sharp. He didn't speak. He didn't smile. He just opened the door and gestured for her to get in. Jenny slid into the back seat, her hands folded tightly in her lap. The car pulled away from the curb, smooth and silent. The city blurred past the window. Buildings gave way to tree-lined streets, then to tall iron gates. The estate appeared like something out of a different world. Manicured gardens, stone fountains, a mansion that looked carved from power itself. Mr. Nicholas led her inside without a word. The interior was cold, elegant, every surface polished to perfection. Jenny's footsteps echoed on the marble floor as they walked down a long hallway. At the end, a door stood slightly open. Miss Tessa was waiting. She sat in a high-backed chair near the window, her posture perfect, her gaze sharp. She didn't stand when Jenny entered. She didn't offer tea. She just gestured to the chair across from her. Sit. Jenny sat. Her pulse was loud in her ears. Miss Tessa studied her for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Finally, she spoke. You may continue working at the company. Jenny's throat tightened. Thank you. But there are boundaries. Miss Tessa's voice was soft, but there was steel underneath every word. My son is distracted. That cannot happen. Do you understand? Jenny nodded. Yes. Good. Miss Tessa leaned back slightly. Then we have nothing more to discuss. Jenny stood. Her legs felt weak, but she forced herself to walk out with her head high. Mr. Nicholas was waiting by the door. The ride back was silent, heavy. When Jenny finally stepped into her apartment, she closed the door and leaned against it. Her hands were shaking. Her chest was tight. She slid down to the floor and pressed her palms against her knees. She hadn't cried in years. She didn't cry now, but she wanted to. The office felt different after that day. Jenny noticed it in the small things first, the way people stopped talking when she walked past, the way her name seemed to hang in the air just a second too long when someone mentioned her in a meeting. She wasn't imagining it. The shift was real, tangible, like the temperature had dropped a few degrees and no one wanted to admit they felt the cold. She kept her head down, did her work, spoke only when necessary, but the silence around her grew louder every day. Then Alina arrived. Jenny didn't know who she was at first, just another woman in expensive clothes moving through the building like she owned it. But the way people stepped aside when she passed, the way their voices dropped to whispers, told Ginny everything she needed to know. Elena didn't introduce herself. She didn't need to. She appeared at Ginny's desk one afternoon, her heels clicking softly against the floor. Ginny looked up. Elena smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "You're Jenny, correct?" "Yes." "I've heard a lot about you." Elena's tone was light, conversational, but there was something sharp beneath it. "Austin speaks very highly of your work." Jenny's pulse quickened. "That's kind of him." "Is it?" Elena tilted her head slightly. "Or is it just the truth?" Jenny didn't answer. She didn't know how. Elena glanced at the papers on Jenny's desk, her expression thoughtful. "You know, it's important to maintain professionalism in environments like this. Boundaries matter. I'm sure you understand." "I do." "Good." Elena's smile widened, just a fraction. "I'm glad we're on the same page." She walked away without another word, leaving Jenny sitting there with her heart pounding and her mind racing. It wasn't a threat. Not exactly, but it felt like one. Over the next few days, Elena became a constant presence. She moved through the office with ease, stopping to chat with department heads, sitting in on meetings she had no official reason to attend, and always, her eyes found Jenny. She never said anything overtly cruel. She didn't need to. A raised eyebrow here, a pointed question there, a correction delivered in front of others, her tone sweet, but her words cutting. "Jenny, I think you misunderstood the assignment. Let me clarify for you." "Are you sure that's the best approach? I'd hate for you to waste time." "Maybe you should double-check that before presenting it. We wouldn't want any mistakes." Each comment landed like a paper cut, small, sharp, accumulating. Jenny kept working. She didn't complain. She didn't push back. But inside, something was fraying. Austin noticed. He didn't say anything directly, but Jenny could feel it in the way his gaze lingered on her during meetings, the way he tensed when Elena spoke. He was watching, calculating, but he stayed silent. And that silence hurt more than anything Elena could say. One evening, Jenny stayed late to finish a report. The office was empty, the lights dimmed. She was so focused on her screen that she didn't hear the footsteps until they were right behind her. She turned. Austin stood there, his expression unreadable. "You're still here." Jenny nodded. "Just finishing up." "You don't have to stay this late." "I know." She turned back to her screen. "I want to." Austin was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke, his voice lower. "Elena's been here a lot." Jenny's fingers stilled on the keyboard. "I've noticed." "Has she said anything to you?" Jenny wanted to tell him everything, the comments, the looks, the way Elena's presence felt like a slow, deliberate pressure building around her. But she didn't, because what would it change? "Nothing I can't handle," she said quietly. Austin's jaw tightened. "Jenny, I'm fine." "You're not." She turned to face him fully, her voice steady. "What do you want me to say, Austin? That I'm being watched? That people talk about me like I'm something scandalous? I know all of that, but I'm still here. I'm still working. So yes, I'm fine." Austin looked at her for a long moment, something unspoken flickering across his face. Then he nodded once and walked away. Jenny exhaled slowly and turned back to her screen. Her hands were shaking. The next day, Elena's pressure increased. She appeared at Jenny's desk in the middle of the morning, her expression concerned. "Jenny, I need to speak with you about your performance." Jenny's stomach twisted. "My performance?" "Yes." Elena gestured toward the conference room. "Let's talk privately." Jenny stood and followed, aware of every pair of eyes tracking her movement. Inside the conference room, Elena closed the door and sat down, folding her hands on the table. "I've been reviewing your recent work, and I have some concerns." Jenny frowned. "What concerns?" "Your attention to detail has been slipping. Small errors, missed deadlines. Nothing major, but it adds up." "I haven't missed any deadlines." Elena's smile was patient. "Perhaps you don't realize it, but others have noticed. I'm just trying to help you before it becomes a bigger issue." Jenny's chest tightened. She knew what this was. A setup. A quiet dismantling. Elena wasn't here to help. She was here to plant doubt, to create a narrative. "I'll be more careful," Jenny said evenly. "I hope so," Elena stood. "We all want you to succeed, Jenny, but you have to meet us halfway." Jenny left the conference room feeling like the walls were closing in. She went straight to the restroom and locked herself in a stall. Her breathing was shallow. Her hands were cold. She wanted to scream. She wanted to quit. She wanted to disappear. But she didn't. She washed her face, fixed her hair, and went back to her desk. That night, Jenny received another message. This time, it wasn't from Miss Tessa. It was from Austin. "Meet me, rooftop parking, 8 p.m. Jenny stared at the screen. She shouldn't go. She knew that. Meeting him would only make things worse, but she typed back anyway. Okay. At 8, she stepped out of the elevator onto the rooftop. The air was cool, the city lights spreading out below like scattered stars. Austin was already there, standing near the edge, his hands in his pockets. He turned when he heard her footsteps. "Thank you for coming." Jenny crossed her arms. "Why am I here?" Austin hesitated. "Because I need to tell you something." "Then tell me." He looked at her, his expression raw in a way she'd never seen before. "I thought staying away from you would protect you. I thought if I kept my distance, none of this would touch you. But I was wrong." Jenny's throat tightened. "Austin," he explained, "I've been watching you carry this alone, and I hate it." His voice cracked slightly. "I hate that I put you in this position. I hate that my silence made it worse." Jenny felt something break open inside her chest. "What do you want me to say?" "I don't know." He stepped closer. "But I can't keep pretending I don't care." The space between them felt impossibly small. Jenny's heart was pounding so hard she was sure he could hear it. "This won't end well," she whispered. "I know. Your mother, Elena. Everyone is watching." "I know. Then why are you doing this?" Austin's gaze held hers, steady and certain. "Because I'd rather face them than lose you." Jenny didn't respond right away. She stood there on that rooftop, the cool night air brushing against her skin, Austin's words hanging between them like something fragile and dangerous. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. But belief was a luxury she couldn't afford. "You say that now," she said quietly, "but what happens when the pressure gets worse? When your mother makes it clear I'm not welcome? When Elena turns this into something public?" Austin's expression didn't waver. "Then I handle it." "How?" "However I need to." Jenny shook her head. "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have right now." He stepped closer, his voice dropping. "But I'm asking you to trust me, not because I've earned it, but because I'm going to." Jenny looked at him for a long moment. Then she turned and walked toward the elevator. "I need time." Austin didn't follow. He just watched her go. The next morning, everything changed. Jenny arrived at the office to find Elena already there, sitting in the conference room with Cassandra and 2 other department heads. Elena's expression was calm, professional, but when she saw Jenny walk past, something flickered in her eyes. Satisfaction. Jenny's stomach dropped. She went to her desk and opened her laptop, but her hands were unsteady. Something was wrong. She could feel it. 20 minutes later, Cassandra appeared at her desk. "Elena wants to see you." Jenny's pulse spiked. "Why?" "I don't know, but you should go." Jenny stood and walked to the conference room. Elena was alone now, sitting at the head of the table, her hands folded neatly in front of her. "Sit down, Jenny." Jenny sat. Elena studied her for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then she spoke, her tone soft. "I think it's time we had an honest conversation." Jenny said nothing. "You're a hard worker. I can see that. But I think we both know this situation has become complicated. Austin is distracted. His focus is split, and that affects everyone, including you." Jenny's jaw tightened. "I haven't done anything wrong." "I didn't say you did." Elena's smile was gentle, almost pitying. But perception matters, and right now, people are talking. They're questioning your role here, your intentions. It's not fair, but it's reality. Jenny felt her chest tighten. What are you asking me to do? Elena tilted her head. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm simply suggesting that sometimes the kindest thing we can do is step back, for everyone's sake. Jenny's hands curled into fists under the table. You want me to quit. I want you to think about what's best for you, for Austin, for this company. Jenny stood. Her voice was steady, but there was fire underneath. I'm not quitting. Elena smiled, didn't falter. Then I hope you're prepared for what comes next. Jenny walked out without another word. That afternoon, Austin confronted Elena. Jenny didn't see it happen, but she heard about it later. He called her into his office, closed the door, and spoke to her for less than 5 minutes. No shouting, no drama, just cold, controlled precision. When Elena left his office, her face was pale, her hands were shaking. She didn't look at anyone as she walked out of the building. She never came back. 2 days later, Austin requested a private meeting with his mother. Mr. Nicholas drove him to the estate in silence. Miss Tessa was waiting in the same sitting room where she'd met Jenny. She didn't stand when Austin entered. She just watched him with that sharp, calculating gaze. You wanted to speak with me? Austin sat across from her. I'm not ending things with Jenny. Miss Tessa's expression didn't change. I see. I know you don't approve. I know you think it's a distraction. But I'm telling you now, this is my choice, not yours. Miss Tessa was quiet for a long moment. Then she leaned back slightly. You're willing to risk everything for her. I'm willing to risk everything to live my own life. Miss Tessa studied him, her gaze searching. Then slowly she nodded. Very well.
Austin blinked. That's it? What did you expect? A fight? Miss Tessa's tone was calm, almost amused. You're my son, Austin, not my property. If this is your choice, then it's your choice. But don't expect me to clean up the mess if it falls apart. Austin stood. I won't. He walked out feeling lighter than he had in months. That evening, Austin went to Jenny's apartment. She opened the door, surprised. What are you doing here? I spoke to my mother. Jenny's breath caught. And? She's stepping back. Jenny stared at him, disbelief flickering across her face. Just like that? Just like that. Austin stepped closer. Elena's gone. My mother's not interfering. It's just us now. Jenny felt something crack open inside her chest. Relief, fear, hope, all of it tangled together. What if it's not enough? She whispered. Austin reached for her hand. Then we figure it out together. Jenny looked down at their joined hands. Then she looked up at him, her eyes wet. I'm scared. So am I. But you're still here. I'm still here. Jenny exhaled slowly. Then she nodded. Okay? Okay? Okay. Austin pulled her into his arms, and for the first time in weeks, Jenny let herself breathe. The weeks that followed were different. The office slowly returned to normal. Whispers faded, stares softened. Respect replaced suspicion. Jenny's work spoke for itself, and people began to see her for what she was. Competent, dedicated, valuable. Austin kept his distance publicly, but privately, they built something real. Quiet dinners, long conversations, slow trust. 6 months later, they traveled together for the first time. No company business, no obligations, just them. A year after that, Austin proposed. The wedding was small, elegant, and deeply personal. Miss Tessa attended, her expression neutral but not unkind. Cassandra sent flowers. Mr. Nicholas drove them to the venue without a word, but Jenny swore she saw him smile. Married life was calm, grounded, real. They fought sometimes, they disagreed, but they chose each other every single day. 2 months into their marriage, Jenny stood in the bathroom, staring at a small white stick in her hand. Her heart was pounding. Her hands were shaking.
She walked out into the living room where Austin was reading. He looked up. "What's wrong?" Jenny held up the test. "I'm pregnant." Austin's eyes widened. Then he smiled, slow and real. "Yeah?" "Yeah." He stood and pulled her close. Jenny closed her eyes and let herself fall into the moment. She had fought for this. They both had. And now, finally, they were free. Love hadn't saved them. Choice had. Boundaries had. The courage to stand firm when the world pushed back. And that, Jenny realized, was worth everything. So here's my question for you. What did you think of this story? Do you believe love can survive power and pressure? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from and what you want to see next. I read every single comment, and your voice matters here. Hit that like button if this story moved you, and subscribe because we've got more coming. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one.